Guys, today's sneaker might just be one of the best Nike collabs of the entire year, and I'm not just saying that. And it all starts with the box. This is one of the coolest Nike packagings that we've seen. I'm so glad that they didn't just go for like a regular Nike box. It just makes the sneaker feel so much more special. So with this one, you've got giant Ja 3 text in kind of like this comic book cartoony style. Electric bolts flying out from all sides. And then you've also got a bunch of like little random text all over it. So you've got worldwide on the front. You've got admit one next to the size tag, and then VIP only. And then of course Ja Morant's logo, which you're gonna see a lot of on the sneaker. But popping the lid, we got today's shoe, the Nike Ja 3. Now some other additions that you get inside the box. Firstly, an extra set of laces. This is teal, which there's no other elements of teal on the sneaker itself, so it's going to be a standout color that you're going to throw on there. But the most hilarious addition has to be Ja Morant's cheesing face as a sticker, which is just laid on top. I don't know what you would do with this, but I tell you, it's funny. But here we have him, the Nike Ja 3, a massive release for Nike because it's a direct competitor to the Adidas AE1 and the upcoming Adidas AE2. The AE2s should be dropping later on this year or maybe early next year. We'll have to wait and see. There's already been a lot of leaks of that pair and people seem pretty hyped about it. As you know, based off of the name of this shoe, this is the third signature sneaker from Nike and Ja Morant. The Ja 1 received pretty well. People seem to really like that pair. The Ja 2, not so much. I mean, it was still popular, but it kind of felt a little bit more like a 1.0 rather than a next generation. But this third version is a massive upgrade in so many different aspects. But before getting into all of the details, let me run through some of the important information about this pair. So they retail for a pretty reasonable $125 for you guys out in the US. I think over here they're about 115 pounds in the UK. This colorway, the Light Show, is what they're calling it, and these dropped on August the 5th, but there's another one already loaded up to the Nike app, and that's the pink one. Those should be dropping very, very soon, but we've also seen a ton of leaked colorways like the black one, and there's so many. I'm not going to name them all. So just know, if you're not the biggest fan of this colorway, there's plenty more in the pipeline to choose from. Now, another important thing to note, if you are interested in picking up this pair of shoes for yourself, sizing. I actually recommend going a half size up on this pair of shoes for most people, if not everyone, and if you have wider feet, I would even recommend going a full size up. It seems like a lot of Nike basketball sneakers that they've been putting out recently are very, very tight. Even the brand new Jordan 40s were also super snug, and that one is another one that I would go a half size up on. Once you get the sizing right, how good are these things on foot, and what are all of the upgrades? So first off, I said that these were one of the best Nike collabs of the entire year, and I stand by that because of the insane amount of details that you get on here. Honestly, it almost feels more like a Ja Morant sneaker than it does a Nike shoe. So obviously it starts with all of the details that you get on the box, which I'm a huge fan of. Then the sneaker itself is covered in Ja Morant's logos. So the base material that you find on here is kind of like a mesh canvas style material, and overlaid on top of that is a textured rubber, which is durable and adds structure to the sneaker itself. It's laid out in almost like scratch marks to some extent, or maybe even cracks, because it also kind of extends to the midsole, which also has some like crack-like effects both on the outside and on the medial side. It's grippy and super aggressive looking, but if you look a little closer, you can tell that all of it is made up of mini Ja Morant logos. That goes for all of the stuff on top, on the midsole, and even underneath. It's a great design. It looks really cool. And if we stay on the top for a second, I do have to mention this sock liner, which they just went ham with the padding. Super soft foam that is wrapping around your entire ankle. Reverse of the tongue, decently padded as well. It's also quite a wide tongue, so it is going to wrap around the top of your foot. Really nice and soft, so it's definitely going to add some comfort to this pair of shoes when you're wearing them, and potentially also add to the fact that these are pretty snug because there's just so much padding in there. The tongue is pretty nice. It comes in white with a very light blue Ja Morant logo embroidered into the center, but the design detail that's definitely stolen the spotlight, everybody is talking about it, has to be the tilted with Nike swoosh on the side. I think it's getting so much attention because Nike very rarely strays away from the usual orientation that you see all of its sneakers on. They kind of tilted it so it acts like a J right next to the graffiti style A that they put on the side as well. It's definitely a standout look on this colorway, especially because it's just white and gray, and then you get all of the color right in the center there. It's not going to be as noticeable on other colorways like the pink one. It's just very faintly noticeable. I don't even know if they used this spray paint style, which, I mean, talking about this spray paint style, it's very realistic. Like, it almost has like some bleeding. It really does look like, you know, there's a Nike employee with a stencil spray painting each pair that comes through. Some more Ja Morant details. You've got 12 embroidered into the heel. That, of course, being his jersey number. You also get that same 1 and 2 on the bottom of the shoe, which if you look closely, you can tell that there's a little bit of writing that just kind of moves around each number. The left pair says, "I'm not even worried about proving them wrong." And the right foot says, "A happy Ja is a scary Ja." I don't know, it's fun. Now, tech-wise, the biggest upgrade on this pair of shoes is the ZoomX cushioning, which Nike has put conveniently, nicely branded on the midsole as well. So that's pretty surprising. That's Nike's flagship foam that they usually put in their most premium, expensive shoes like the Jordan 40s or their running models, obviously. So to see it here on a $125 sneaker, that's cool. So does that make these things ultra comfortable on foot? Well, yes and no. Yes, for a basketball shoe, these are very comfortable. I'd even go as far to say as even more comfortable than the AE1s, which, you know, they have boost in there, so they feel great. But no, if you're expecting a super squishy, soft feel underfoot. You know, it's a basketball shoe, so it's supposed to feel very grounded, very kind of, you know, stable. You want that maximum control when you're wearing these things. You don't want to be bouncing around in kind of like, you know, soft, squishy, marshmallowy underneath. But it does definitely make this pair of shoes a great off-court sneaker for walking around, wearing to the gym just casually. They do feel really great just using them for that. But on their website, Nike does call this a hybrid ZoomX. They don't really expand on that on the page for these things, but essentially what hybrid ZoomX is basically just a layer of ZoomX cushioning with another foam layered in there as well. They don't really outline what foam is, but that essentially just is able to use this super soft, squishy ZoomX cushioning. By layering another material, it just makes them a little bit more structured, a little bit more stable, and better for basketball. But yeah, overall, I would say if you're directly comparing these to the AE1s, as of right now, these would be my pick easily. They're more comfortable. I mean, it is super interesting to compare those two different shoes. Like, Adidas is expecting the AE2 to be like this huge success story just based off of how the AE1s did. Those things are rumored to be $130, and Nike coming out and retailing these for $5, you know, they're kind of undercutting them by $5. That's a little bit of a slight. Like, we know this is going to be a competitor. But at the end of the day, it definitely depends on what kind of look you're going for. The sleek, minimal look of the AE1s, a little bit more futuristic versus just the crazy, bold, out there design of these. But overall, I think this is a great looking and cool pair of shoes, and just great value as well. They feel like a pair of shoes Nike really tried to go above and beyond with, and I think that's just due to the fact that there's just such an increased level of competition in the basketball sneaker category, especially at this price point. There's so many solid options, you know, the AE1 being the main one. We've got Shy's Converse sneaker coming out very soon, which is not really a competitor because, you know, Nike owns Converse, but still those things look phenomenal and I'm sure are going to be super popular. Either way, I really like them. I think these things are dope, but let me know what you think down in the comment section. Would you wear the Nike Ja 3? And of course, like always, if you do want to catch another video, I'm going to throw one up in the top left-hand corner, so just click on it, check it out.